Hey everybody, welcome back to Out of the Ordinary with Jay, and I am with Professor Phil again. Thank you. He's a professor of both physics and astronomy, and I just found out he's been teaching for about 40 years.
40 years.
So I wanted to...
Well, I started teaching 40 years ago. I didn't teach that entire time, but...
Well, still a long time. And you're in your early 60s.
62.
62. And you were an associate dean and also a professor at a college. So I feel like I'm going to ask you my top 20 sort of life questions that are kind of important to me that I always like to see how people might answer. And so you'd be a great candidate for this given your breadth of experience in life. So my first question is, what are your thoughts on aging? Positive, negative, aging gracefully, fighting it, health, happiness. Is there a perfect age? How old do you feel? However you want to answer this question about aging.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
how do I feel about aging? Well, in a nutshell...
By the way, you look great. I'm just going to say that. For 62, you look amazing.
48 years of diet and exercise.
Is that all?
That's all, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, good job.
I'd say the short answer is aging is better than the alternative. That's what it boils down to.
Next question.
As far as, I mean, there are certain things about aging that suck. You know, as far as working out, obviously there are things I can't do now in the gym that I could do when I was younger, and just in general, physically, even though I work out religiously every single day and I try to stay active, stay in good health, you have limitations that you didn't have when you were younger.
Stuff hurts easier and it hurts longer.
But the positives are, by the time, hopefully you're getting wiser as you get older. You're learning more. You're having new experiences. So until the dementia sets in, you
got a window.
You have this window during which you're better informed. You can make better decisions with your life. And then financially, generally, as long as you've worked hard and have invested your money wisely and haven't spent your money frivolously, you're more financially secure, which enables you.
That's another positive,
That's another positive. So in general, aging's a good thing because, as I said, the alternative really sucks.
Yeah, I like that. Can I ask you this? Would you trade the wisdom you have now for the youth you used to have? If there was a magic genie that could grant that change?
Wow.
Swapping your experience, your wisdom and all that for youth again, would you take that deal?
Can I keep the youth forever?
Oh, I don't know.
See that?
Right, no, you have to reset. It's coming back. You're just resetting.
Oh, well, then if I reset and I could be 20 years old again, and I had to relearn everything, that'd be great. I could live forever. If every time I reach 62, you tell me I can go back to being 20.
You get a one-time shot. You get a one-time shot, but you're going back. If you go back, you don't get to keep the wisdom you had.
It would still give me another 40 years of life.
Okay, I like it. Okay,
sure,
so you take that. Okay, well, that probably might answer my next question. What a perfect segue. If I came to you with a magic pill and you could take it and it would grant you immortality, but you're the only one, none of your family, none of your friends, nobody you know, you're the only one that's going to be living forever. So generations are going to keep passing and you're going to keep witnessing all. Would you take that, or would you rather go on to the afterlife or whatever is after this?
Well, I don't know if anyone really wants to live forever.
Okay,
I mean, at some point you probably get to the point where you've had enough. But the other thing is, I would say no, I wouldn't take it. Probably primarily because I just feel, I hate to use the word fair because life isn't fair. But if I was the only person given that opportunity, and nobody else was,
that's the deal.
I just feel badly for what makes me so special that I get this chance.
Okay.
And nobody else does.
Okay, so you don't like the inequality of it.
And I think that if other people knew that, they would probably resent me.
Okay, so they probably would, but they couldn't do anything about it. So you're immortal.
They can make my life miserable.
I mean, I guess you'd outlast them though. But so do you worry about death?
I don't worry about death. I worry about pain. I don't want a painful. I've seen too many people with cancer, and death can be agonizing. I don't worry. If I just keel over now, drop and dead, and I never know it, who cares? You never know it.
Right. It's like falling asleep and you just didn't wake up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What I fear is pain. Like if I have a heart attack and I know I'm having a heart attack, I'm having a heart attack. You know, and I'm dialing 911 and I'm waiting for the ambulance to come. That's what scares me.
What's funny is
but if I just had a heart attack and lost consciousness and dropped dead,
I gotcha.
Who cares?
There's a guy that I love to watch and listen to and follow. His name's Sam Harris. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But he has this thing when he talks about pain. He's like, actually, it's not pain that's a problem, because as you're experiencing pain, you're already bearing the pain. It's the anticipation of the next round of pain.
Yes.
That's what it is.
That's even worse.
That's what it is.
That's even worse than the pain itself.
Yeah.
They're both bad.
Yeah, right. Okay, so question number 3 then. What's your biggest fear or worry, and conversely, what are you most hopeful about?
You mean in life in general?
Yeah.
Ooh, my biggest fear and worry.
Fear or worry, and then what are you most hopeful about on the opposite end of that?
Okay, my biggest fear is I just look at where the world's going today.
Yeah.
And I think every generation probably says this, but especially
Get the handbasket ready?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the world's going to hell in a handbasket. I just see so much confrontation.
Yeah.
And so many lost opportunities. You know, the wars going on and people suffering. And it bothers me that people just can't come together to help each other out.
Yeah.
You know, and I
hear you.
And I think a big part of it is a lot of people have a zero-sum frame of mind where if someone else does better, it's at my expense.
Yeah.
You know, you're playing a zero-sum game. So you do better, I lose. You win, I lose. So I want to win, so you have to lose.
Yeah.
You're not realizing that a win-win situation is possible. And when other people do better, then generally everyone is going to do better as a whole.
Yeah, it's the whole economy thing about you're taking, one of the big slices of pie as opposed to building a bigger pie.
Bigger pie, precisely.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And so I see a lot of turmoil in the world because people don't know how to get along. They're playing this zero-sum game. I want everything. You can't have it because
Right, in other words,
because you won't leave anything for me.
Right, the idea is for me to win, you have to lose.
Precisely.
And then I agree that's not correct. It never has been correct.
Yeah, and then with wars, things get destroyed. I mean, people love to destroy things. If you're angry at someone or something, you
That's why they got those rage rooms.
Yeah. You destroy stuff. And look at when there are protests. That's one thing that always never made sense to me during protests, whether it was Black Lives Matter or
Take your pick.
Me
Too, or
hashtag
anyway.
what's your the on the conservative side, whatever. People protesting, and most people are protesting peacefully, but then some people are going to decide to loot a store, break windows, destroy businesses, set cars on fire, and all that. Why? That's not improving your situation.
Yeah, you had an otherwise good message, and now you ruined it and proved the other side right.
But what it does is, but the thing is, it's easier to destroy. People are angry about something. They want to change something.
Yeah.
Whatever the cause may be, conservative, liberal, whatever. They want to make a change. So what they want to do is be noticed. So it's easy to burn a car or to smash a store window or something like that. They would get more bang for their buck if they instead invested their time in building something up. But the problem is it's more work. It's harder to build something than it is to destroy something.
It's way harder, and train wrecks always get attention.
Yeah. Destroying something is easy.
1 second versus 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Building something is hard, even though the building something is going to get you much, much better results. And just look at, and that's basically
more efficacious, it's durable.
Yeah. And so very often wars fit into that category.
Yeah.
Instead of working things out, sometimes you can't work with the other side. With Hitler, for example, hey, no one was going to collaborate with him and come to a reasonable compromise. We saw what happened there.
Yeah.
But I think by and large, for most international disputes, there are ways for people to come together, avoid conflict, and make the situation better for everybody. It's going to take a lot more work, but it's easier than just pounding the crap out of the other guy and trying to win. But that's my biggest fear.
Yeah, I think
that just in general, that the mindset that too many people and leaders in this world have about this zero-sum game and taking the easy way out, which is destroying something other than building something.
Yeah, I get that. I was thinking not my biggest fear, but when you were talking about that, one of my big fears that made me think about this, and it goes hand in hand with what you were talking about, is that there's just way too many different versions of a truth or a fact now.
Oh yeah.
Like there's no longer a shared. Now this has happened before in the past. You did have propaganda and stuff, but it was by leaflets and just it wasn't nearly as pervasive, as easy, or as algorithmic or catered perfectly to the person, or just the quality of it now is so good. And so for that reason, having everybody kind of in their own bubbles, whether it's political, religious, sports team, whatever, like having everybody in their own silos and not getting any new information into those bubbles other than a reinforcement of what's already in the bubble, to me is very troubling. And it also lends itself to what you were talking about, that sort of zero-sum game, because if this is my world, everything else is foreign and dangerous.
We and them.
Right?
We
exactly.
Them. Yeah. And so the other part of the question was what gives me hope?
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, what gives you hope? The opposite.
Yeah. What gives me hope is that you look at the progression of history. Yeah. And generally, things are getting better and better as time goes on. Yeah. Basically the human condition is improving as far as you look at life expectancy, standard of living. Right.
Even though the pendulum is swinging like this, it's slowly moving this way.
Yeah, there's a trend towards greater progress and
that's the way it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's what gives me hope is that it's a long, arduous, tortuous path. Yeah. But slowly things are getting better. The pendulum always,
but the facts are clear.
Things can get a little worse. They can get a little better. But the general trend is that things are moving.
Yeah, the graph is going up like this.
Yeah, it's going up like this.
That's good over time.
Zigzagging on the way
just
up
like
there.
a stocks.
Yeah. Yep. Precisely.
Okay.
That's stock market. Great example.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
very
it goes
similar
up and
to
it goes down, but the long-term trend is
it's going up.
It always goes up.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so if you could travel back in time, would you change anything? What would you change?
Oh wow! In my life or the world in general?
You get to pick, man. This is an open-ended question. I don't care how you want to answer it.
That I would change?
Yeah, if you could travel back in time, what would you change?
Off the top of my head, I'd say nothing because I don't know if any changes I would make
have some butterfly effect.
Yeah, have some unforeseen negative consequences. I might think I'm doing something good, not realizing that I just set in motion a series of events that'll be more calamitous than whatever calamity I was trying to avoid.
I know that's the rough thing about it.
Like okay, go back and let's say we didn't drop bombs on the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. What would have happened then? The United States would have had to invade Japan, and you probably would have lost a lot more lives because if we actually had to invade the country, both American lives and Japanese lives, than the number of lives that were lost in dropping the bombs. That was the rationale that was made when the bombs were dropped. It's in the long run.
The question.
So
the question is tough.
But would it? Who knows? So.
The question's tough because you never know.
You just don't know.
Because there's always unintended consequences. There's also always silver linings, right? So it's like, how do you? Okay, that's a tough question. Okay, what's an important life lesson that you have learned? Any tips for someone to have a bit of an easier time at life?
Wow.
Take your time. We can come back to these if you want me to skip them. I'll come back.
I think the only thing I can think of right now is something that we alluded to in a previous interview. Yeah. And that is when you seem overwhelmed, if you're trying to accomplish some kind of goal or you just have a task that you have to do or you're dealing with some issue, just take bite-sized chunks.
Yeah, I like
one thing at a time. If you feel overwhelmed, just sit back and do what you can in the moment. You can't do everything at once. Take care of things one thing at a time. Set your priorities. What's the most important thing I have to do? Okay, let's do this first. Okay, then I have to do this and this. Because that happens very often. I think that's what prioritizing is all about, is just figuring out what is most critical to be done first.
Yeah.
What needs to be, what follows that. And so I think if you're feeling overwhelmed in life, like one piece of advice in life is just take things slowly, think about it, prioritize. Don't, if you start to feel overwhelmed, take a step back, assess the entire situation.
Yeah.
And as I said, prioritize so that you can handle the situation, whatever it may be, whether it's a problem or something else, or if it's a goal you're trying to attain. Just try to formulate a plan so that you can.
You know what that made me, when you were saying that, what it made me think of in my own mind was about grief. It's like when something really bad happens to someone or whatever. And I am always harkened back to, I love this quote from Matthew McConaughey in an old movie. It's the abbreviation is JKL, and it stands for just keep living. And what that means is if you hang in there long enough, it's like, you know, almost everybody's had a bad breakup or lost a loved one or lost a very important job or had a setback or an injury. And maybe they've had all of those. And it feels like it's the end of the world at that time. But then only to some years later, you know, you have a new relationship that's way better. You have a new job that's more fulfilling, et cetera, et cetera. And so like, I always, whenever I encounter someone that's having a difficult time, I always say, hey, JKL, man, just keep living, because you never know when that next, you know, upswing's going to happen.
Right. You know, that's very similar to the saying, time heals all wounds.
It's the same idea.
But I like this better.
Just because Matthew McConaughey says it.
I think it's more. I think it's more overarching.
Yeah.
Because time heals all wounds really deals with loss or grief, something of that nature, or rejection or whatever.
And it does, by the way.
But just keep living, I think, encompasses a broader scope of challenges a person.
And it also puts it on you. Time is its own entity. Just keep living is like, hey, you got to keep living.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I like that it's a pointed, you know, suggestion. Along those same lines, I guess, what is the purpose of life? Is there a purpose to life?
Didn't we have a whole interview on this?
Yeah, and we'll link to it. But give me a brief. Do you have any sort of thing on that?
Purpose in life is different for every person.
Okay.
You have to decide what your purpose is.
Okay. So I like that. I like that.
So in general, and this goes back to our interview on accomplishment and ambition.
Yeah.
So the purpose in life is to, like you said, well, it's different for every person, but is to decide what makes you happy.
Yeah.
What's going to make you happy, what's going to make your friends, your family happy, what's going to help make the world a better place. And every person's going to have their own way of contributing to that vision of making their lives better, or the world a better place, or their families' lives better. And so the purpose in life is just to make this life as enjoyable as possible, and to spread that enjoyment or spread the joy all around.
Yeah. So I'm
in your own way, whatever that may be.
So I study a lot of philosophy, so I'm going to throw this one at you.
Okay.
So first is, that sounds very similar to a lot of Eastern philosophies, which say basically life is meaningless until you apply the meaning, which is basically what you're saying, which I like.
I would say
that's pretty good. But there is another guy in philosophy. His name's I think he's French maybe, but his name is Albert Camus, and he had a philosophy called absurdism, and his basic theory was life's absurd, it has no meaning, so whatever. Now, what say you about that? Disagree, agree, interesting?
I think those two are the same.
Oh, okay.
Up to the point where the Eastern philosopher says you find your own meaning in life.
Okay.
Because if you don't, then life is absurd. There is no meaning.
You've been able to you've managed to square the two.
Well,
very good, Doc.
I mean, when you look at it, we live on, when I go hiking, lately, the thing I think about when I go hiking now, more often than not, is I wonder how prevalent life is in the universe. How many other planets have living organisms, and of those living organisms, how many of them are sentient or intelligent as we define intelligence, say technological civilizations? you know, and when you consider the size of being an astronomer, this is where my mind goes.
Yeah.
You know, I think about the number of stars in our galaxy, the number of 100+ billion stars in our galaxy, maybe up to 1 trillion.
Yeah.
Hundreds of billions of galaxies throughout the universe, and many, if not most, stars have planets going around them. Granted, conditions have to be just so for life to arise, but for this to be the only planet where life has arisen is unlikely.
Yeah.
But it certainly is. We just don't know how unlikely it is for
Right.
life to arise. So when you look up at the sky and you wonder, wow, are there other beings and other planets looking up at me? Maybe not. Maybe we're all there is.
Yeah.
But when you look at it that way, and you wonder, we're on this insignificant planet, orbiting an insignificant star in an insignificant galaxy in an enormous universe, and we don't even know if this is the only universe.
Yeah.
You know, if you get into cosmology and the multiverse,
Gives
or
you
the
a sense of
or the
awe
many
and
worlds
wonder for
there's-
sure.
Yeah. You know, you realize, yeah, we are incredibly insignificant. If we blow ourselves up today in a nuclear holocaust,
The universe doesn't care.
the universe doesn't give a shit about us.
Yeah.
Pardon my French.
No. That was French.
Don't you?
Because I think it translates well to English. But go on.
Okay.
Yeah.
But at the
Yeah.
same, but at the same time, our lives are meaningful to us.
Yeah.
You know, it's why we all strive to live and keep living.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that's programmed into our DNA. But
Right. I may not be important to the universe, but I might be important to
me.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And to other people who depend on me.
Yeah. I gotcha.
So in that
Or my
sense,
work or whatever. Yeah.
Albertus Camus, is that his name?
Albert Camus, I think is how you say it, but it's
Okay.
Albert
Yeah.
Camus. C-A-M-U-S. Yeah.
So he and the Eastern philosophers, they're just, I think the Eastern philosophers have just taken it a step farther. Yes,
Okay.
life is absurd. There is no meaning really, but if you find your own meaning,
That's
then,
pretty good.
Then
Yeah. I like
that's
that.
that's as much as
Okay.
the best you can do.
I like that. That's a difficult. I mean, it gets into thousands of years of philosophy. So
Right.
we're just spinning it out here. So it's like,
And of course, you're talking to someone who's not religious.
no,
So
but that
if
makes
you
a difference. Sure.
if you have a person who's religious and believes in a personal God,
Yeah.
and they think that there's a hereafter and a heaven and whatnot, then the meaning of life is completely different.
Right. Well,
But-
they're right for depending on which religion one is
Right.
part of. Yeah. I mean, a lot of their sort of purpose has been this is your purpose, and this is
Right.
what and so you're right. So I guess it depends on your belief system generally.
Right.
For this, but we're getting yours, so that's good.
But as far as other religions go, I still have yet to hear anyone tell me what the great purpose is in the great beyond.
Oh, that might be another interview.
So we drop dead and we go on to the hereafter. What's going on in the hereafter that's so important, that's going to be purposeful? If it's just living like we're living now, if this is meaningless, then how is living eternally any more meaningful? What's the difference? You know,
think they
or
would-
is God doing something, have projects in the work that are so much more meaningful that we can't envision? I don't know.
I think they might answer it. It can't be knowable.
Right.
You know, I think that's the-
I think that's pretty much. I think that's pretty much what I've heard. Or it's just the being in the presence of God, and which to me is completely vague too. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
You know. So anyway.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. This is a good segue. Somehow you made a great segue out of this. But do you think people really care to understand you or they just want what they want? And let me kind of preface that by I don't know. Say you've got a kid, right? And they're 5 years old, and they're like, but I want this candy. And you're like, no. And you're trying to tell them they can't because, they have to have their normal meal and, a well-balanced diet is good, and
Right.
cavities, and they're not good at brushing their teeth. You can't go into that. I mean, you could go into that. Maybe you try to explain to the kid, but the kid's just like, in one ear out there, but I want my chocolate candy bar.
Right.
That's all they care about. Or like somebody that's getting fired from a job. Most of the time, in my experience, they do not care what your reason was for firing them. All they want to know is, so do I show up tomorrow or not? Right? And so I guess my question is, and this is a good question for you because you've been a teacher for so long, a professor for so long. You've had to explain things. Do you find that people actually care to understand your rationale for things, or they just want what they want?
I think they care about my rationale if understanding that rationale is going to help them change their own behavior, their own actions to get what they want. So they will care about what you have to say as far as it's going to help them.
So,
if what you're saying isn't going to help them, they won't care. But if what you're saying is going to help them get what they want, then they're going to be more vested in what you have to say, and they'll
okay, I get that. That's a good answer. So to use my job analogy, and just to make sure I have this right, what you're saying is if I had somebody that I was disciplining or criticizing an employee, right, and I said, hey, if you go, not firing them right now, what I'm saying is if you keep doing this, you will be fired next week. But if you change to this, maybe we can consider a promotion to that job you've been wanting. They might pay attention to what, because there's something in it. They're not looking just to move on. They need this information. It's important information.
They may disagree with you vehemently. And if they really don't give a rat, here's more French. If they don't give a rat's behind, then then maybe they'll keep doing the wrong things anyway, and they'll get fired. But they're more likely to pay attention if they're going to get something out of it.
Okay, that makes sense to me. We've dabbled on this on other conversations, but I want to get it out here because it's my top 20 questions. But happiness, what do you think it is? Is it important? Any advice on how to have less suffering and more happiness? What do you think about happiness in general?
Well, happiness is important.
Okay.
Well, what was the first part of the question?
What do you think it is? Is it important? Any advice on how to have less suffering and more happiness? What do you think about happiness? Because some people would make an argument that it's not even important.
Really?
Yeah. That's kind of I think maybe your high-end monks might say, just being is the thing. Happiness is fleeting. It's a quick dopamine surge that is not sustainable.
I think a lot of it has to do with how you define happiness, because a lot of people would say that happiness is a rare emotion. What we should really strive for is more something along the lines of contentment. To be content with your situation, not so much happiness can sometimes portray joy and which is
jubilance,
jubilance. Which is something that you don't expect to experience every moment of the day, but you can be content with what you're doing. So it depends on how you're defining happiness.
No, that does make sense.
But I think I think in general, I think most people look at the word, when you say, is it important to be happy? I think, and people strive for happiness, I think what most people are equating happiness to is contentment. Meaning, if I'm living the life I want to live, I enjoy doing the things that I do, and I'm content, then I'm happy. So I think that's how most people interpret happiness.
I think you're right.
So as far as what can you do to achieve happiness? I think, kind of back to what we were discussing with ambition and accomplishment, is don't give up too easily. If there's something that's going to make you happy,
it's worth it.
It's worth the effort to acquire it. As long as you're not doing something detrimental to other people.
Right.
You don't want to be pursuing your own happiness at someone else's expense.
Right, that doesn't work.
So no, it's not good.
Maybe short-term gain, but long-term pain. Something like
precisely.
That. Can I ask you, I heard this wonderful quote, at least for me it resonated, I like it a lot. Doesn't mean you have to, but I'd like to get your take on it as it relates to happiness. It goes like this: happiness isn't something you chase, it is something you notice.
Oh.
I love that.
Yeah.
I really like that, because like I could look at this tree that's really blowing right here with the clouds right behind it, and we've got this unusually perfect weather and breeze right now. I'm noticing happiness. I'm not chasing it.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I love that. Anyway.
Happiness is something, it goes back to accomplishment. Once you accomplish a goal, you will feel that satisfaction and happiness that will come along with it. It doesn't, in a way you're looking for it, you're striving for it, but when it gets there, you notice it.
Now I'm going to go the other way with another quote from Dodgeball. Vince Vaughn's character goes, she's talking to him like, well, do you have any goals? He goes, I don't have any goals. Or she goes, what's your goal? He goes, I don't believe in goals. I found if I have a goal, I might not reach it, And I never want to be, therefore, I'm never disappointed.
Yeah, I never saw Dodgeball,
Anyway,
but the character who plays
Yeah.
MJ in the Spider-Man movies makes
Oh, yes.
the same comment,
Oh, okay.
or similar comment.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, but actually,
Yeah.
if you really want to know what happiness is, come on, you know, Peanuts. Happiness is a warm puppy.
Oh, well, that's a fact. That's true.
When I was a kid, I had that Happiness Is book.
Oh.
And so Happiness Is a Warm Puppy and a whole bunch of other things.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
So if you're really struggling,
Get that book.
Just get the Peanuts Happiness Is book. And
Oh, man, that's super cool.
What it will do, what that book will do, is it'll help you appreciate the little things in life.
Yeah.
Because if you can't appreciate the little things, you can't appreciate anything else.
Oh, I love that.
So
Very
never
good.
take the little things for granted, because the little things are what make up most of our day. And if the little things are going along just the way they're supposed to, you know what? Life is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a great Ferris Bueller. Life comes at you pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. I like that. Okay.
Okay, next.
If money was no object and you could bring anyone with you, where would you live?
Wow.
Money's no object and you could bring anyone with you. Where would you live?
You know what? I'd live right here in Phoenix.
Okay.
Because I'm retired and
You love it.
I love it here. You know, I moved out here because this is where I wanted to be. I'll tell you, I would be in New York, except it's too damn cold.
Well, and also, I'll give you this one, but we're in the middle of May here. It's like May 18th. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It should be 110 degrees. It's like 80 something and beautiful.
Well,
with
actually,
a breeze.
the average temperature this time of year is about 97 or 98.
Oh, okay, well, hot. But yeah, but
still,
just crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Okay,
it's very
okay.
nice.
So your answer is here, that goes right along with the previous one. That's very good. You're probably going to answer this the same way too. Boy, you have a good life, I think. If you could spend your time doing anything, like a dream job or no job at all, what would you do?
Dream job or no job?
What would you do? Well, you can answer this. First of all, you were retired and you came out of retirement,
right?
And you didn't have to.
Yeah, so I'm teaching, and I love teaching.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something I haven't done.
Okay.
What I think I would really enjoy doing is being a motivational speaker.
Oh, okay. So
I'm not sure
still
how to
in
get into it.
the teaching realm for sure.
I
you want to positive change, right?
Yeah. Well, you probably never noticed this, but I love to talk. So being motivated. That's why teaching is great for me.
Sure.
Because I get to talk a lot.
Okay.
But being a motivational speaker, I get to talk a lot. So I like talking.
Very good. All right. Well, for those listening or watching this, what do you think? What do you think are some top questions I should ask about life? And comment below, and I'll try to get to them in future interviews. Also, don't forget to please like and subscribe. And now, Professor, our next question, the back half here. The future, good, bad, what do you think about it?
You mean my future or the future of humankind?
I guess when I wrote this, because I have in parentheses AI, nuclear weapons, medicine, extreme longevity, work, etc. I was thinking kind of like the whole everything.
Right. Okay.
But however you want to answer that, what do you think about the future?
Okay. Well, we had an interview about this too, about the future.
Where we probably went into pretty good detail, which I'll link to that one as well.
I'd say overall positive, despite all the turmoil in the world right now. Overall, we're on a positive trend.
Yep.
I think that people deep down are sensible.
Yeah.
And I think we will, if it really gets to the point where we're on the brink of catastrophe, I think that sensible people will stand up and prevent catastrophe from befalling us. So I think that the future is hopeful, that we will continue to progress, both technologically and socially. And, I'm still optimistic. I still have that Star Trek vision of the future. Whether or not we're going to ever come across any technology that will let us zip around the galaxy like they do in Star Trek, that's another matter entirely. But I see things getting better, not worse.
So your point would be, when the rubber hits the road, even though there's a lot of stuff to be anxious and stressed about, humans figure it out at the last second if they have to.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. what do you think about, like, just in general, about like belief systems? And what I mean this in the most generic way. Like, of course, there's religion, science, loyalties, like to God, a pastor, leader of a party, family, ethnicity, a sports team. What do you think about belief systems and loyalties and things like that?
I think loyalty is different.
It seems very much like everybody. It's hard to find somebody that doesn't belong to some tribe or something, or multiples, and identifies themselves in those ways.
Well, everybody has their own interests, their own values. So yeah, you're going to identify with people and groups that share your point of view, whether it's religion or politics or other values.
Yeah.
So as far as belief systems, I think too often people confuse the words or misuse the word belief when they mean trust. Like when we made the appointment to meet to do this interview, I believed that you would be here and that you wouldn't stand me up and I'd come here and you wouldn't be anywhere to be found.
Right.
But to say I believe in you really isn't what I mean. What I mean is I trust you.
Yeah.
And that's based on previous experience. I know I have some inkling of your personality and your dependability, reliability. And I know from experience that I can depend on you to be here when you say you're going to be here at 2:00 for the interview. So I trust you. So I think we use the word belief very frequently when we mean trust. Now, belief itself, especially when it applies to religion, belief often means adhering to some kind of view or dogma or knowledge without evidence. So in my view, any kind of belief that is not grounded in evidence is not a good thing. So maybe if you have an idea or a belief, if you think a certain way about something, then go out and find evidence to support your point of view. If you find evidence to support your point of view, then great.
Yeah.
But if you don't, then maybe you don't want to harbor that belief because there's no basis for it. So So I think those are two things as far as beliefs that are evidence, based on facts, evidence, are one thing. Beliefs that are not based on evidence are another thing, and then mixing up the words belief and trust.
Yeah. See, I guess and I guess why I lumped belief and loyalty together in this question is because, and you brought up a lot of stuff, is people start to believe a certain way, and that leads them to be loyal to a certain group or whatever. And if that belief is not grounded in something factual, fundamental, etc., I don't know. We seem like there's a lot of problems are caused because of beliefs and loyalties. Is all I'm saying. In a lot of respects.
Right.
I'm sure it does a lot of good too. But I'm just saying,
And then some things are just so subjective.
Yeah, right.
Because two people can have different
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right?
Like, you have people who are pro-choice and pro-abortion. Pro-choice and pro-life.
Yeah.
And it may be for religious reasons. It may have nothing to do with religion at all. It's just one person is pro-life, the other one is pro-choice.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you do with that.
Well, it could be as basic as a gal walks by here right now. I think she's attractive. You do not.
Yeah.
Right? It could be that simple. So it's very subjective.
I like vanilla ice cream. You don't.
Exactly. Right. So kind of along those same lines, what do you think the answer is to divisive politics or religious differences, or like why do these differences keep us apart when, like, I've always wondered this because I know, I guess it's because the beliefs that people hold in their politics or their particular religion or whatever are so strong. This is where I always get messed up. We have so many things in common. Like, we all need oxygen. We all like this air I'm breathing right now. We're all going to need a drink of water after this interview. Like, we're all going to get hungry later. We all want a shelter over us. We all want to have good friends and family. Like, do you know what I mean? There's like a million things
we have
that we're together on. And then there's like 3 or 4 things that were, I guess it's just humans' tendency to pay attention to the negative.
The differences, right?
But it's so weird to me that like you have all these commonalities that we just basically blow past all day long and then just are so hard on each other for the few differences. And I guess, I don't know.
Anyway, I think the reason for that is really evolutionary. I'm not a biologist. I know a little bit about evolutionary theory and whatnot, but I'm certainly not an expert. It's not my field. But I think a lot of that is due to evolution, because the way humans evolved, we evolved in small groups, and to survive, resources were limited. It's not like today where we live in the land of plenty, in a time of plenty. Very few. At least in this country, you don't go hungry. If you're going hungry, 9 times out of 10, it's your own choice. Granted, there are people who are going hungry, and thank goodness there are programs and there are charities that help those people out. But by and large, life is pretty easy for us, is what I'm trying to say, compared to hundreds of thousands of years ago when humans were evolving. And so humans lived in small groups. Resources were limited. And if your group butted up against another group, and there was competition for resources, you, of course, wanted your group to survive.
Right.
And the other group, they were outsiders. They were competing for your resources.
Exactly.
And so I think that is something that has been, that is wired into our DNA, the whole competition, the survival, the idea that, we have to preserve our own at the expense. I think that it's part of what leads to the zero sum, sum type of mentality.
Tribal. It's innate.
We are very, very tribal. And I think that now with civilization, and as complicated as things become, we find other things to divide us, to divide us from them. And I think it's just something that's wired into us. Because even sports. I'm a New York Mets fan. I don't know what kind of fan you are, but I hate the Mets. I hate the Dodgers. I hate whatever. It's just natural for us to
pick a team, pick a side,
want to belong to a group, and fight for that group. And I think it's.
I was just going to say, to circle back and keep the belief system part of that too. I did read something recently, and I can't remember what it was, but they were talking about how you were talking about how it's like evolutionary based, or it was basically saying that belief mattered more than fact in a lot of ways in the past, because if someone was too questioning or too curious, they could put the whole group or the whole tribe at risk of disease, of an animal coming to kill them, of a warring tribe coming to kill them. So the belief of, hey, there's monsters over there, don't go there, was more important than the fact that there wasn't actually a monster there. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, that it kind of goes to your point. Okay. I don't know if we've already answered this, but kind of. What do you think about people? And in this case, I'm going to say modern people. What do you think about people? What makes us do what we do? You've kind of answered this in the last question, but what makes us tick? Like what makes some people mean or kind or positive or negative, and things like that?
Well, part of it is life experiences. But part of it is just wired in our DNA, because you could have identical twins or nearly identical twins, and they have different dispositions. So the disposition,
which is crazy, because everything else is identical, that you're genetically identical.
I think it's part of it is nature, and part of it is nurture. I don't see any other explanation for it.
Okay. So along that train of thought, what do you think about people changing, particularly as and sometimes dramatically, for good or for bad? They can change because of they've gotten older, right? It could be a hormone thing, or just an age thing, or a memory thing is causing them to change. Maybe they've gotten injured. Maybe they read some book that has enlightened them. Maybe they're in a new relationship with someone and that's changed them, right? Which happens often. Or the trauma, or they got into drugs, a pharmaceutical or otherwise, right? Or something in their circumstances have changed. But what do you think about people changing sometimes dramatically, for good or for bad? And I say for good or for bad because you can have somebody that's been, maybe had a hard time in life and been, hooked on drugs for a long time, and now all of a sudden they're the CEO of this publicly traded company that they founded, right? And that has happened. That's real. And then you have other times the reverse of that, where somebody was a CEO or whatever, and now they've fallen into the gutter.
Right.
What do you think about people changing sometimes dramatically? What is that?
It happens.
Yeah, I know, but why?
I don't know. What do I think about it? Well, certainly, I think.
Like, what is in our brain that just boom, 180? You know, I can give you. Can I give you?
When you experience something new or different,
Yeah.
and something that what I know what would change me is if I experienced something new that I enjoyed, and I changed my lifestyle to get more of that, or it maybe change my outlook in some way, shape, or form on my goals in some way. Or if I came across information that indicated that if I kept doing what I was doing, it would be detrimental to me. Like if it's, hey, Phil, if you don't change your diet, you're going to have a heart attack in the next 5 years. Well, okay, then I'll make a change. Maybe,
somebody that got sick has a skin cancer scare that doesn't show up outside anymore when they used to go and do outdoor sports all the time, right?
So I think some change is deliberate, and some change. Well, some change. What was I just had it on the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember what I was going to say.
Let me interject real quick, because where this question came from, there's a guy who became, I think, a billionaire off of a cosmetic line called ELF, ELF, which stands for, I forget, eyes, lips, and face. Anyways, the guy gets kind of a very good quality, inexpensive brand of cosmetics, from what I hear.
Okay.
Became a billionaire. Literally gave it all away, all his money, everything, from what I understand, and became a preacher. Like he was just not fulfilled. And he said he tried some of the, I think I could get this wrong, he tried sort of the debauchery realm or whatever, and it didn't work for him, and he just, maybe his original, upbringing guilt got to him, and so he's trying to like reverse course big time. I don't know, but I always find that interesting, from rags to riches to rags.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
In that scenario, what I'm thinking is a change is a result of people being unhappy.
Non-satisfaction, not being satisfied.
Or unsatisfied. That's better. Okay. So you're unsatisfied or dissatisfied with your current situation.
Yeah.
And you want to change it. And so you come up with a plan, something that you think will benefit you.
Can I ask you this question? We mentioned satisfaction.
Okay.
I find that, I don't know, you've met a lot of people I know in your career and everything, but like, I feel like I know people that are just way more easily satisfied and content, and then other people that are basically never satisfied or are just never going to. Have you found that to be the case or not really?
Yeah, some people are just going to be angry no matter what.
Not even angry, just like they achieve a goal and now it's like, it's time for the next one instantaneously. They're just always on the move, where somebody else might be like, that's it, I'm going to the Bahamas, you know what I mean?
Well, I think someone like that who accomplishes a goal and then says, okay, now I'm on to the next one, I think they've hit upon what makes them happy. They
goal making.
Yeah, they enjoy accomplishing goals.
Okay.
And so that's once they accomplish a goal, they set up a new goal to strive to attain. Okay. And so, I think a lot of what you're saying though is some people never being satisfied, and like I said, like Billy Joel, the angry young man. What I'm thinking is something that we mentioned earlier was not just appreciating the simple things in life. If you learn to appreciate the simple things in life, then I think that goes a long way to putting your entire life in perspective.
Yeah.
So I think once you develop,
as he says that, we get a perfect breeze nailing us.
Yeah, there you go.
Boy, way to use your powers for good, man. That was great. Anyway, very good.
Yeah, I think once you realize, hey, I woke up this morning in a nice place, a comfortable bed. I had a good meal. I got to the gym. I had a really good workout. I had my friends at the gym, and I this, that, and the other thing. Life is pretty good. I think that impacts your entire attitude overall. It makes the more difficult things in your life easier to handle.
Okay. All right, this is the last question for you, and it's by no means the easiest one. But we've been talking about people here. What do you think about relationships in general? What I mean is like, how come some people are like more loners versus more social, more introvert versus extrovert, married versus single, men versus women, or the differences there? Like, what do you think about relationships between parties and things like that?
If I knew the answer to that question, I'd be very wealthy.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. Yeah.
My own personal view is that everybody's unique. Everyone's different.
Okay.
So everyone has their own priorities in life. And as far as relationships with people, my philosophy has always been to develop relationships with people that I enjoy being around.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that that person has to share all my values, all my interests. And I've known people and been friendly with people who have very different interests from myself, but I just enjoy their company.
Either they've got your back or they're funny or whatever.
Right. There's some aspect of that person that I enjoy. That I enjoy being around that person. So I think most relationships boil down to that, is you're going to spend your time with people that you like being around.
In theory.
You're going to avoid, and you're going to avoid people that you don't enjoy being with.
No, I think you're right.
And what's really interesting is I know that I've been friends with certain people who are friends with other people that are not friendly with me. Like I think of one very specific example of a person I'm very friendly with, and this person is very friendly with someone else who I just don't click with at all. Yeah. And then I think back to my college days, for instance, and I've always been the kind of person I can relate to a broad range of people.
Sure.
So when I was in college, I had friends who were the jocks, and then I also had friends who were the nerds, the physics, and math nerds, and because I was a physicist. But I also was into sports and bodybuilding, so I could relate to the jocks.
Sure.
But those jocks would never talk to my nerd friends, and vice versa. So I think it's just so different for everybody. It depends on your...
I see now why you want to be a politician, by the way. Bringing the two groups together. Anyway, sorry.
Something like that. But everyone's different. You're going to surprise yourself, because you're going to end up liking some people that you never would have thought you would have liked. I never thought I would like someone who's a fundamentalist Christian, or I never thought I'd, be friends with someone from the deep South, like Alabama or something like that. But it doesn't matter where you're from or what you think. There are other things that are more difficult to put into words. There are other less tangible qualities that people possess that attract you to them, or that you find attractive, or perhaps repulsive. Right. It's
yes, it could be something as simple as they're just interesting, or they're quirky, or whatever you find fascinating. Right. Now I get that. My thing with relationships is I'm fascinated both ways, because I know humans for the most part are social creatures, and so I know we're kind of drawn to that, both for protection and relationships and all kinds of things. But on the other hand, I've observed so many times where it's like two people, you put them together, and it's like, it doesn't take long. While there is a lot of commonality, I know I'm kind of going against what I said earlier, but you can start to see how there's like divergent views and divergent and like, this person's got their own self-serving interests, and this person's got, and they're not aligned. And it just always kind of amazes me that we have as many relationships as we have sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No two people are ever going to see eye to eye on everything.
Yeah, I mean, I can't make up my own mind, so there's that.
Good point.
Anything else, Professor, on the top 20 questions? I guess they were my questions, and we might have skipped over a couple, because I think we answered them in some other videos. But, anyways.
No, I can't think of anything. Okay,
all right. Well, thank you for the interview. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.